Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is a Japanese role-playing game that was developed by Monolith Soft and published by Nintendo. When you take a look at how long to beat, it shows that after about 63.5 hours you'll see credits. Well, I didn't see those credits until about 75 hours later. I actually got this game as a gift back in 2018 and didn't beat it until 2020 when I decided to turn my backlog into a project. If you need an idea of what this game is like, think about games like Star Ocean Till the End of Time, Edge of Eternity, and Final Fantasy XII The Zodiac Age. I know I've made this review before, but with 2 years of experience and 22 videos under my belt, I feel like I have a few more things to say about this game. My name is Vivix Tales, this is Backlog Worthy. Let's sit down and talk about Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Right out of the gate, I'm gonna complain. There are two big things I look forward to when I start any sort of RPG or JRPG, the combat and the story. My biggest complaint about Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is the combat system. I have never enjoyed a battle system where the game attacks for you. It really made the battles seem meaningless to me, as all I have to do at that point is press a few buttons and switch my blades here and there to win. Like, come on. I'll even take the button mashing that Tales of Berseria and Final Fantasy VII Remake gave me before I take this system. To go along with the battle mechanic, the chaining mechanic was explained to me either very little or not at all within the game. It's my personal opinion that I shouldn't have to take time out of my gameplay to find a 15-minute video on a mechanic that a game refused to elaborate more on. Even our resident Xenogear, Xenosaga, and Xenoblade fanatic had to explain it to me a bit. Shout out to Anil for the mechanic video that helped me understand the combat system just a tad bit more. This next thing is really on me, no doubt about it. I never really understood the affinities chart system in the slightest. It was more of a lack of reading on my part, or at least a lack of understanding what the word affinity means. I thought it was an optional thing the entire game until a friend called me out on it. I actually got softlocked for a moment because I didn't level up any proficiency in fire and couldn't burn spider webs. The monsters in this game are a bit of a mixed bag. I'll talk about the bad here and the good in another section. Being a level 25 character isn't really a bad thing, but can be when there are monsters that are about 30 levels above you roaming about. I hated trying to get to the next checkpoint, only to get killed by something over-leveled a few times along the way. And now, the good part about the monsters I talked about. On the surface, I absolutely hate that I get destroyed by a level 50 dinosaur as a level 15 Rex. But digging deeper into the world design, I really like the premise behind it. It feels like the varying levels of monsters you can find in any given location in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 create a more believable environment that all kinds of monsters can live in. My best example of this would be in like Africa, where zebras and lions both reside, but technically one is a higher level than the other. The world of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was beautiful every step of the way. From the very beginning to the very end, there was nothing less than breathtaking right in front of me. Did the game slow down my 2017 Switch quite a bit? Yeah. But did it do its best to show me the world of Alrest? It sure did, and I would overheat that Switch again in a heartbeat if it meant I could see that world again for the first time. This game, like every other JRPG out there, has a good few hours of nothing to tread through. There's nothing you can really do about that though, because it's the best way the game can set up the characters and world for you without rushing you right into the story. But if you're watching this, chances are you know what you're getting yourself into when it comes to slow starts. With Pyra and Mithra trying to get to Elysium, Rex seems like he will do literally anything to help them with their goal. However, it seems like everyone and everything will do what it takes to stop them, even imprisonment or death. There are honestly a lot of cutscenes that I would love to talk about, but quite a bit, if not the majority of them, will spoil huge plot points within Xenoblade Chronicles 2. The only thing I'll slightly mention is that I hate the ending of this game with a passion. I feel like that everything that was built up to that point was destroyed with just one cutscene. When it comes to the characters, Rex would be the main one you interact with, probably because he's the playable main character of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. There's something that throws me off about him a bit, though. I feel like part of it is the lackluster design that he was given, or the fact that his personality isn't really something that I would write home about. I did really enjoy Rex's naivety throughout the game, especially when it came to Nia. If you played the game before watching this review, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, I'll throw a link in the description for you. I'm going to separate Pyra and Mythra due to them technically being two different characters. I really liked both Pyra's personality and design. She is someone who cares way too much, it seems, which I thought was a nice contrast from Mythra. Pyra's design is also great, but is a bit too sexualized for me, which is something that I saw when it came to a lot of the blades. Mythra is pretty much the same as Pyra, but blonde. She's a character that seems not to care a lot, but she hides it behind a more arrogant persona. Between both Pyra and Mythra, I do like Mythra more. To me, she just has a better design, and I enjoy her personality more than Pyra. Nia is easily my favorite character in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Her personality and design, especially when it comes later in the game, are like gold to me. Throughout my entire playthrough, I was always happy to see how Nia interacted with the other party members. My favorite being this clip right here.
Hey, you too, Nia. Come rest your head on my lap if you like.
Why don't you rest your head in your ass?
I honestly didn't care for Tora whatsoever in my playthrough. He just seemed more annoying to me than anything. He was also a bit of a perv, so I'll leave that one to marinate. His artificial blade, Poppy, wasn't really my favorite either. I didn't really upgrade her past Poppy QT, so I can't comment on her full potential as Poppy QT Pie. Before he joined the party, Zeke was the reason I dropped this game twice actually. Not because of his character, but just because I couldn't win a fight against him half the time. Besides that, I really did like him as a character. I couldn't help but enjoy his arrogant attitude alongside his feelings of being a hopeless romantic. Morag is the last main character when it comes to your party in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. She's a character who cares about Rex, going as far as exclaiming that the longer she hangs around this group, the more likely she'll see something amazing. Morag is a very serious person, barely losing her cooler temper, which can be helpful for a lot of the situations that they end up finding themselves in. If there is one part of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 that I fully enjoyed, it has to be the music. This game has an OST beautiful enough to even make the heavens cry. If you like the songs you've been hearing in the background this entire video, chances are you'll like what the rest of the soundtrack has to offer. I played a lot of JRPGs in my time. Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy, Dot Hack, Tales of, Kingdom Hearts, Radiata Stories, anything, I've probably played it. And honestly, not too many of those games have an OST that can compare to Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I love Nintendo, and they honestly have a chokehold on my wallet. But it has to be said, the Nintendo Switch is not a powerful system in the slightest, but damn does Xenoblade Chronicles 2 look fantastic. I talked about this in the story and world section, so I won't talk too much more about this. The game achieves something great graphically on a system that is less than great power-wise. Another thing that I talked about previously is the characters, and this time I want to talk about them in more of an art style kind of way. The art style for them is great, I feel. Sure, it's a JRPG, it's just an anime art style, and all other JRPGs have the same art style. Well, yes and no. You can play a JRPG with a more serious art style, like Final Fantasy, but there was just something about Xenoblade Chronicles 2's art style that really caught my eye. Maybe it was just the fact that it felt welcoming to me, but who really knows? Whatever it was, I was just happy to sit down and experience the world that the game was willing to offer me. Now that I feel like I've better articulated my response compared to the original video, I'm happy to say that the score has improved since the last one. From originally being a game with a score of 5 out of 10, after some careful consideration, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is a game deserving of a score of 8 out of 10. Sure, the battle system is something that I easily hated throughout my entire playthrough of the game, but this game makes it up in several different areas. This game easily deserves a place in your backlog if you haven't picked it up already.